Our next set of problems are 25 through 27, and we're still simplifying, and I guess you could say the degree of difficulty is picking up a little bit, but it really isn't if you take everything one step at a time and follow the order of operations as we've done in class. And so on our first problem, I see a bunch of mixed numbers, and I don't like mixed numbers, so I'm going to change all these mixed numbers before I really do anything with the problem. So I have 11 times 8 is 88, plus 1 is 89 over 8, minus 14 times 8 is 112, plus 3 more is 115 over 8. And that had a little 2 next to it. And since the parentheses and the 2 are attached with no sign in between, we know that the process that's taking place is multiplication. So our order of operations dictates that we first multiply those two numbers together before we can deal with anything to the left of the subtraction sign. And given that I already see that I have 8's in both denominators, I'm not going to do any simplifying on reducing this fraction because I want to keep that 8 as a denominator. So I'm just going to multiply it straight out together. I will call that 2 over 1. And so I'm going to multiply my two numerators. 115 times 2 is 230. 8 times 1 is 8. Oops, not equals, minus 89 over 8. And so now I'm simply dealing with 89 over 8 minus 230 over 8. We have a common denominator already, so all I really have to do is subtract my numerators, 89 minus 230. And if we wanted to, I could go ahead and rewrite this problem, 89 over 8 plus negative 230 over 8, just so that I remember that that 230 is negative. So I need to find the difference between these two terms and then keep the sign of the larger absolute value number, which in this case is 230, so our solution is going to be negative. And 230 minus 89, you can do that and scratch next to the paper if you'd like, but that will give me 141. Keep our denominator anytime we add or subtract fractions, and so our solution is negative 141 over 8. For problem number 26, I'm going to do a similar process to what I did on 25. I'm going to kind of simplify the problem a little bit in stages. So first, working across, 2 to the third doesn't have anything that really is impacted by the signs. I'm going to go ahead and take care of my powers first. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, so 2 to the third is 8, minus 15. Now I could distribute, but since I have two terms inside the parentheses, there's really no point in distributing unless you have a variable that you don't know inside the parentheses. So I'm just going to solve what's inside the parentheses to make my life easier. Negative 1 minus 1, which is the same as negative 1 plus negative 1, which we know is negative 2. Now my order of operations dictates that I multiply first before I can subtract this term on the left. So I have 15 times negative 2, which would give me negative 30. So I still have 8 minus negative 30. And when we have a minus and negative, again, I circle it, and I put a little plus on top of my circle so that I remember that something's changed there. Now I have 8 plus 30 equals 38. So our final solution is positive 38. Now 27, our last problem in this simplify section. We have a fraction divided by another fraction, subtracted by a third fraction. And so our order of operations requires that we first do our multiplying and dividing. And so we know that whenever we're dividing fractions, we keep it, we change it, we flip it. So I'm going to keep the first fraction. change the sign from division to multiplication, and flip my second fraction. And so from this step, I'm going to simplify a little bit because I have a 3 in a denominator and 3 in a numerator, and they can both be divided by 3. If I divide both of those fractions by 3, both of those integers by 3, it results in a 1. So that just cleaned up my fractions just a little bit, and I can multiply straight across. 1 times -4 is -4. 7 times 1 is 7. So everything on the left side here, 3/7 divided by -3/4 is equal to -4/7. And so now I need to take that portion, -4/7, and subtract 6/7. And I'm going to go ahead and skip a step here and go ahead and call that adding -6/7. We've done a lot of that in class, so by now you should be able to follow that step. So I have -4 plus -6 is -10/7. So our final answer is -10/7.